can't even understand. It's just crazy. What's up, socials? Welcome back to Amy TV, your space to discover the life that you want, the way that you make it. Today is a very special day. Today, January 31st. Do you remember what video you watched last year on this channel on January 31st? That's right, you watched ridiculosity in action.
I know you got the talent, I know you got the game. Post and upload to YouTube, but maybe you could be famous. Well, it's not that easy. Fear starts to kick in, think your content is cheesy. Well, hello, I'm Amy, better known as the vlog boss. I'm here to make it happen. Step your game up at all costs. At all costs, you can put your trust in me. I'm pretty good. You can ask Gary V.
It was for my book. I did a music video for Vlog Like a Boss. That day was the launch day for my first book, and that makes today the 1-year anniversary. You know, it's fine. I'm just like an author or something. What? If you're not aware, if you're brand new to this channel, the book is called Vlog Like a Boss, How to Kill It Online with Video Blogging, and I'm very proud of myself, very, very proud. I'm probably confusing some people who maybe are just meeting me for the first time because I have so many last names. I am Amy SCHMITTAUER and I'm Amy Landino, so, you know, multiple personalities. I hear it's really healthy. Anyway, I thought it'd be appropriate today, instead of being like, wow, it's been a year. Like, a lot of things have happened with my book, but I also think there have been a lot of books that have changed my life, and I wanted to kind of talk through what those books are. There's also something else super bonkers cool that happened this week that I want to tell you about, but it's all encompassing. It's all encompassing. I want to tell you everything. So we're going to talk about the books that changed my life, the ones that motivated me, that taught me a lot of things, the ones that really at the basic level allowed me to surround myself with people who were not only like-minded, but way smarter than me and great influences on me. And in a world where we are so particular about who we spend our time with, or at least wish we were particular and maybe feel like we can't control it, books are a great way to do that. A really great way to do that. If you want to inject a certain type of expertise or flair or personality or anything you can think of from another human, if you want more of it in your life, read their book. They put a lot of effort into it and a lot of them into it. If you're ever wondering what books I recommend or what books I have read before or anything like that, any books I talk about here on the show, I have read them. I'm not going to talk about something that I have no experience with. You can always find out what those books are with the link in the description that's going to take you to the bookshelf shop page. So it's on my website. It's a full list of every book that I've read, at least in my professional career. You can go check that out and pick up a copy of something that piques your interest. These are the books that changed my life for the better. This first one is going to kick off the feels, all the feels that are gonna happen in this video, and that is Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're new to me, I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're not new to me, well, what were you expecting? This was the first book that I actually read by Gary, but I want to give you a little bit more backstory than that. Back in 2009 and 2010, I was side hustling. I was starting to figure out what I wanted to do as my passion, and I was picking up clients on the side of my full-time job. One of the first people that I actually met that was in this industry, I guess you could say, was Lewis Howes, who is extremely well known for his insanely popular podcast, School of Greatness. He's been on the show. You guys know Lewis probably very well. If you don't, go check him out. Lewis is also from Columbus. At the time, he was building his business just down the street in downtown Columbus, Ohio. So we met up for burgers, and basically I just wanted to pick his brain about everything he had learned about what he was doing with internet marketing and all these kinds of things. And he gave me 2 pieces of advice, and one of them was to read Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It. So that was how I found out about Gary in the first place, was through Lewis. So because I didn't really want to buy the book, I went to the library and I borrowed it. And I read Crush It. What changed for me was really that I found someone that I felt I could connect with, that I felt like we had a similar mindset, but who had already had so much more experience and was so risky in the way that he tried things that he was actually able to say from experience, you know, Amy, you're on the right track, without actually having to say to me directly, Amy, you're on the right track. I was reading this book and I just felt so inspired that I had figured a couple of things out, but I should lean even further into them because they truly were going to be the coming years of success for business and marketing and my passion overall, and being able to go after the life that I want, doing the thing that I loved. Because at the time I'm thinking, is this a real thing? Am I really going to leave my job? Am I really going to change gears here? And being able to read a book like that was a very positive influence on me trying to figure out who I truly was. At the end of it all, like at the end of the day, what Crush It was for me was finding out that I could have a mentor and have them affect me so much, but not actually have to go knocking on someone's door and say, hey, hi, will you be my mentor? Like, you don't actually have to do that. Learn everything anyone's ever wanted to teach by simply absorbing the things that they've created. That's what's amazing by this world in 2018, in 2009, in 2010, this book, being able to read people's books, it's a great way to absorb, what they would teach you if you talk to them in person. Everyone's problems at the end of the day are all the same. If we're not trying to figure out how to do something, we're trying to figure out why, and if we actually have the drive to do it, and if we can put away all of our feelings and fears in order to make it happen, in order to be able to make a test and see if we're gonna freak out when we fail. So a lot of things happened to me in the moment of reading Crush It. Most of all was the first moment I realized I could give myself permission. The next book I read that changed my life was Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. One of the hardest things ever, when you finally decide to take the jump to start your own business, is to learn how to sell yourself. And when you're in a services-based business and you really need clients, I needed somebody to teach me how to do that. So actually, my very dear friend Matthew Kimberly told me about Michael Port and the book Book Yourself Solid, and I just loved that title. I mean, like, listen to that title. That is just music to my ears. Book Yourself Solid. I would like to be booked solid. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, but work means I'm making money, ideally. So I need to know that that's true. And also, I need to be booked solid. Man, it was so practical. I absolutely love Michael's take on going out and finding business, and going out and finding business is important, even if we live in this world now where inbound is great, but you can always have more. You can always make sure that your funnel, your leads are full, and you always have someone you can work with, or always work toward more business so that you can grow. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I was really surprised I wanted to read this book. I actually look at that book and I'm like, what in the heck is that going to be about? It had been recommended by so many people that I know now or had been following at the time. When I started reading this book, I was actually very grateful that I started, because there were some things in there that I should have known and should have thought about, and also opened my mind to the possibilities. The biggest takeaway with this one is just the mindset of abundance, that we're not all scraping for the same small amounts of money or opportunity that are out there. If we really approach things in the right way, there's enough to go around across the board. But not just that, when you're very financially literate and you start to understand how these things work, you become even more aware of how much opportunity there actually is. And so the stories that were being told and the way that it was taught here in this book, I just love Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I don't think I've ever looked at money the same. Oh, Gilbert, girl! Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you are a lady who has not read this book, come on. This one was just so liberating. I know it was kind of like all the rage when I did read it. It was just, everyone was talking about Eat, Pray, Love and being able to have an Eat, Pray, Love opportunity in their life. But I think what Elizabeth did for me here was make me realize I had already been traveling from an early age in my 20s, just on my own. But I think I started to understand, like, I don't have to wait for others to want to do stuff. I could go visit a country and not necessarily see a friend or family member there, and just go and check it out and feel good about that, and be confident in that. I think when you're brought up, travel feels like a very, like, family thing. It's an event. It's this big deal. You don't do it very often. It costs a lot of money, and you really need other people's help in order to do it. I didn't like the idea of that, and Eat, Pray, Love, in addition to a lot of other feeling things, showed me how amazing it would be to just go and do it on my own and believe that a female could travel internationally and be just fine. Elizabeth Gilbert in Eat, Pray, Love gave me a lot of confidence, and that helped me a ton, considering how much my business is dependent on that confidence. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, I've told you guys, is the networking Bible. I recommend this book to everyone. I am an introvert. I'm not great at networking. I have learned how to be an extroverted introvert and to turn it on when I need to, but Never Eat Alone was a huge eye-opening experience for me to be able to start thinking about how I could get creative with talking to other people. There's always been something in me that has made me want to hack human communication, because when you're introverted and you never felt like you were good at it in the first place, you really just start to question you want to do it at all. And also you're like, is there a secret to this? Overall, the tactics, the tips for growing and nurturing your network, just absolutely priceless. Let's go back to a familiar author, and the next book that changed my life was Jab, 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 Right Hook. Probably not gonna sound like a book that changed my life, but there's way more to this story. I tell it in the book. I'm gonna summarize it very quickly, but you can actually go watch the video that made this book change my life. Actually, let's be fair. Let's be fair. I didn't just make that video for no reason. I read Jab, 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 Right Hook, and I was blown away. I was blown away. I had already met Gary prior to this, and you can read about that, like I said, in my book. But when I read Jab, 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 Right Hook, I wasn't expecting it to be the most amazing thing in the world. I don't know why. I just thought Crush It was so good that, like, we can just, like, stop there. Crush It's amazing. Like, you're good. Jab, 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 Right Hook is probably going to be fine. It was so good. I felt like every one of my clients should have that book on their desk as the manual for social media marketing. And I loved it. I loved it so much, I made a music video about it.
I don't need to hang my stocking there upon the fireplace, because this book has all the answers to do good biz in a social space.
Well, at the time, people were not making some crazy musical book reviews. So Gary loved it, and he shared it, and that started to grow sort of like a fun digital mentor, distant relationship with me and Gary. Everybody thinks that I'm like Gary Vaynerchuk's best friend. I have emails right now saying, hey, Amy, can you get me the hookup with Gary? Let's be real here. He appreciates the work that I have done, and we'll talk more about that later. And I appreciate him on an absolutely incredible level, because I take his advice and I actually do something with it. It was cool because now I was on his radar, and there are things that you can do to get on people's radar that aren't necessarily like, I have to be able to walk into his office and have him make time for me every single time. I don't expect that. I don't expect that of anyone. I don't even expect that of my mom. Like, Mom, you're in the middle of teaching class, and I walk in and I'm like, hey, I'm your daughter. You're firstborn. You better stop class for me. That's not gonna happen. Like, no, you're totally disrespectful of time. I hate when people just assume, like, oh, well, you must be super in with them, so they should be able to drop everything for you. Tell me all about this expectation island that you live on, because I don't even think I'd want to move there. But anyway, Jab, 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 Right Hook got me on his radar, and he shared the video. Lots of people discovered me. I got clients from that video. I got new subscribers for that video. Lots of things happened. It's not like it went viral. It went like Gary viral, which is good. Like, so good. Targeted people. Hi, Gary people. Like, the fact that you came here from that video and you're still here. Ugh. Words. Okay, so the second to last book that changed my life, let's be honest, is my own. I mean, when you write a book, you just like that changes your life in a lot of ways. I put off writing this thing for so long. I think it was just because I felt like there were so many other things I could do. But because of the world we live in, because there's self-publishing options, because I could do this on my terms, because I could take whatever photo I wanted, make whatever cover I wanted, I didn't have to ask permission from anyone. It was kind of cool to be able to do it. But I had no idea what it would actually do to change my life. And I think it's a testament to how much we have moved forward in this world that we live in, and technology and things like that, but how much traditional media and finishing something you start still plays such a significant role in credibility. So I didn't have to wait for a publisher to let me do this, but I started it and I finished it, and people like it. They're reading it, they're taking the advice, they're saying, Amy, this actually feels like you took your brain and put it on pages. And I tried to do that as succinctly as possible. I mean, you really only get so many pages to do that. The fact that people are actually reading it and it's making the difference to them, that's further finishing and verifying what you did. And that is a huge credibility play that in some ways, you know, a Twitter profile that has a check mark on it or a viral video on YouTube doesn't do. I'm just very pleased to see how much this book has completely changed my business. It's increasing business both in clients and in products. The second business that Vincenzo and I started, Aftermark, is growing significantly, and the book, being able to guide people on how they might work with us, is helping with that so much. This, I have to say thank you to you, because you bought the book, you read the book. If you're not much of a reader, you like to listen, you listened to the audiobook. Even when the audiobook was late, it was so late, you bought it. And then you read it instead of just watching videos. Watching videos is so much easier than reading, but you read it. You were focused, you cared, and you took the advice and you ran with it, or you took it, you absorbed it, and you're excited about it, and you told me, and you left reviews. Like, thank you, because that is life-changing for someone. That's cool. That's pretty darn cool. The last book that has completely changed my life, which I'm saying this pretty early on, but I have a feeling. I mean, it already kind of has. Just came out this week, and it is the follow-up to Gary's Crush It. Gary wrote a book called Crushing It, and damn it, I don't want to get emotional. I'm in the book, so that's kind of cool. I didn't think I was going to cry about it, but I mean, it's cool. So what's really amazing is that there are so many people that read Crush It by Gary, including me. And Lewis recommended Crush It to me, and he's in the book. Like, it's just like, what? This world is small, but it is big. Like, it's so cool. Anyway, I read Crush It, and, you know, I told Gary, I was like, I read Crush It, and I crushed it. I'm doing things are happening, and I want to share that story with you. And a lot of people did that. I think like 22, 25 people or something told Gary how Crush It shaped their business or shaped their lives in some way. Their stories are in this book, and I'm in this book. Actually, I'm first freaking story in this book. Like, we're talking about 300 pages here. I'm on page 22. Like, even if you get bored after that, which I don't think you will, because Gary's not a boring guy, you'll see me. That's pretty life-changing. A best-selling author, a 5-time, actually, that's only how many business books he has. A 5-time business author put me in his book. Like, this book is going to be a New York Times bestseller. Like, that's cray-cray. Like, that's a thing. That's a real thing. So to that, I have to thank you, because you make everything happen for me. You get me going every single day. You keep me focused on what I'm doing. You make me cry sometimes. But thanks, Gary, because he didn't have to. He didn't have to do that. And he didn't have to do a lot of things that he's done for me. So we're going to end it there. Question of the day, leave a comment down below. I'm always looking for a new good read that might change my life. So give me a book that has impacted your life on some level. It doesn't have to be nonfiction. I know a lot of mine were businessy nonfiction. That just tends to be my preference. I remember back in the day when I was reading fiction books as a kiddo, as a child. Leave one of your favorites in the comments below. That's all for today's socials. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. As always, make sure you subscribe for good vibes and continue to go after the life that you want. Cheers.